people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that unbeaten up-and-comer in the bantamweight division, Bri Howling, will be returning on the undercard of Stephanie Han versus Miranda Reyes late next month on the 27th in El Paso. Opposite the ring, Hungary's own Beata Dudek, 31 years old, sporting a professional record of 4 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 4 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 5 professional bouts. Looks to be a developmental fight, yet another keep busy fight, which I think there's nothing wrong with that for Bri Howling, because since she debuted as a professional, she'd been fighting roughly once a year for about 4-5 years.
Just about, yeah.
Bri Howling debuted as a professional in 2019, and every year since then, she's only been able to box once a year. So this is the first year since she debuted that she will have fought more than once. She's already fought 2 times this year. This upcoming fight with Beata, this will be her 3rd fight. She's got a lot of lost time to make up for. The saving grace for Bri is that she's still very young. I think she's only 26 years old. Campaigning in the women's bantamweight division, bantamweight, that's where Miya Yoshida holds the IBF title. That's where Shernika Johnson's got the WBA. Dina Thorslund, she's got the other 2, the WBC and WBO titles, and that's where Bri Howling currently campaigns. Sporting a professional record, an unblemished record of 7 wins with no losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, a natural with natural ability. And she was last in action not but a few weeks ago, last month on the 10th, and in March before that. And her last 2 bouts took place under the King Promotions banner. King Promotions, that's the same small promotional outfit that used to promote Alicia Baumgartner before she paired up with Matchroom. They're currently promoting Bri Howling and doing a very good job of keeping her active and keeping her busy, because in spite of her being young,
she has a lot of lost time to make up for.
Just as well, Bri Howling herself, she took to her social media and posted a caption that reads, "I am beyond thrilled that I have been officially ranked number 9 in the world by way of the WBA. The World Boxing Association are one of the most prestigious and most respected organizations in boxing. This is an incredible honor, and it is a step closer to me realizing my dream of becoming a world champion. I want to say a huge thank you to the WBA for recognizing all my hard work and dedication. I also want to give a shout out to my promoter, Marshall Kaufman, it's King's Promotions, and his team over at King's Promotions for their continued support. To my amazing team, family, friends, sponsors, and to all my supporters, thank you for your unwavering belief in me. I couldn't have achieved all this without your constant support and encouragement. This is just the beginning. Let's go." And it appears that Bri is going the WBA route.
Thus, based on who the WBA champion is right now, that means she's lining herself up for a Shernika Johnson fight. Newly crowned WBA bantamweight champion Shernika Johnson, who's set to run it back, have a rematch with Nina Hughes, who she won the belt from. That's the path to a world title Bri Howling is taking, and she's currently ranked at number 9, so she's still a ways out from a title shot and just becoming a mandatory challenger, that entire process. But this is proving to be the most productive year, the most prolific. Most prolific so far in her boxing career.
That's the benefit of Bri Howling aligning herself with King's Promotions, a small domestic outfit here in the US of A, not particularly well known, but for a fighter in Bri's position, you need somebody making these fights happen for you, until such a time as you either become a mandatory challenger or happen to win an alphabet title. Then perhaps things can get a little bit more serious, and you can align yourself with a bigger outfit, like a Matchroom.
All things in time.
On this schedule, if she takes care of business in late July, she still has plenty of time to schedule herself a 4th fight, maybe even a 5th fight, which is completely normal for a young unbeaten up-and-comer.
Fighting that often within a calendar year.
For a fighter like Bri Howling, Bri specifically, who doesn't come from some deep amateur background, these developmental fights are pivotal. She'll face some stiff competition along the way, but before she gets there, she needs to bank more rounds.
So she's ready.
This is a very deep division. That's not even counting the champions. Who's got the alphabet titles? There are a good number of solid fighters, solid contenders out there.
Some of which we've talked about here on the channel, like Juliana Rodriguez Acevedo, Rihanna Rios,
A former champion from right here in the US of A in Jamie Mitchell. You've got Bri Howling's countrywoman from up north in Canada, Amanda Gaye.
That's just to name a few. There are more.
This ain't no barren division. This ain't no barren weight class like what you find up there at 160 and 168. This is a deep division with a deep talent pool, and when the time comes, Bri Howling needs to be ready for those kinds of fighters. The only way to do that is to bank those rounds. Get those rounds in the bank, get that experience. Thus, fights like the one she's about to have, while it might seem like a formality or a foregone conclusion, it's a necessary evil.
Look for the ring return of Bri Howling late next month, and we'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, another look at Ryan Garcia's ongoing anti-doping fiasco and awaiting adjudication from the New York State Athletic Commission. You will recall that veteran boxing scribe Jake Donovan said Ryan Garcia's legal team has released another statement claiming supplement contamination per test results from SMRTL, contamination reportedly found in NutriBio, Supercarb, and Body Health Perfect Amino. Jake added that it's worth noting both products that were sent to the lab for testing were opened, sealed only with tape for shipping.
And you're not supposed to do that.
The standard for testing supplements normally calls for sealed samples of the same lot number, i.e., the same batch.
You can't just send them open samples because the chain of custody is broken and you might have tampered with those samples yourself, contaminated them yourself to bolster your story's credibility.
It's what Victor Conte was saying on his own page, expert in the field, saying how Ryan Garcia can obtain credible supplement test results, locate the same lot number for both of the suspected products, and have them shipped directly to the lab sealed. If results are positive for Osterin for both products, then you will have chain of custody and admissible test results. Why did Ryan test powders from unsealed containers without chain of custody? In my opinion, it seems possible that tampering may be involved. Strange that two products both tested positive for Osterin. This isn't how credible science is conducted. These results cannot be authenticated.
Why is that strange?
It's strange because what are the odds that two separate supplements from two separate brands would be contaminated with the same substance they found in Ryan?
Two separate supplements.
Gee, it's almost like you contaminated them yourself to make your story look good.
Give it credibility.
And Victor Conte continued, why did Ryan Garcia not fully disclose that there are no product receipts available and both containers had broken seals? The laboratory that did the test gave a disclaimer about the credibility of the results. In my opinion, this is likely an attempt to pull a fast one on the world of boxing.
So he didn't provide a proof of purchase, and he broke the chain of custody by sending them open containers.
And this is how he expects to be exonerated of any wrongdoing. This is how he hopes to prove that he didn't intentionally take a banned substance. What all of this seems to suggest is that it's the opposite, and you're trying to cover it up in a very haphazard way, mind you.
Doesn't make him look good if you're paying attention, but a lot of people don't want to.
Victor Conte continued, my prediction is Ryan Garcia will not have samples tested from sealed tubs of the two products he claimed exposed him to Osterin. Both products of the same lot number should be purchased and sent directly to the WADA lab. If done, I predict sealed products would be negative for Osterin.
What's he saying?
That the reason they found Osterin in Ryan's system isn't because of cross-contamination. He's just trying to make it look that way.
Doing a piss-poor job.
This is a very important point by Jake. Sending a tub of a product, possibly months old, with a broken seal and no chain of custody, is not how things are done in a scientific and credible manner.
Some would say that it's Victor Conte that lacks credibility. What is his role in all of this? Why is he so interested in Ryan Garcia's anti-doping case?
Well, it could be because it involves a fighter that he works with. It does involve Devin Haney, but moreover, Ryan Garcia himself tried to implicate Victor. That's the part that Ryan's fans like to leave out. Ryan tried to blame this on him.
On on Victor, the Haneys, even Eddie Hearn.
Victor continued, is it Conte or contamination? Is the prime drink toxic or tasty? Was it ashwagandha or aspirin? Does Jesus approve of words like, I'll put my dick in your mouth, bitch? I'm confused about what the Ryan Garcia message actually is at this point. Has anybody figured it out yet?
I have. He's just throwing shit at a wall, hoping something sticks.
You went from saying that the Haneys and Victor Conte and Vada are directly responsible to using cross-contamination as your defense, your explanation. So, which one is it? Because it can't be both.
Your supplements and what you're taking in is in the care of you and your team.
So how the fuck would the Haneys and Victor Conte have had access to it?
They wouldn't.
Victor Conte said, it seems Ryan Garcia was attempting to dupe the boxing world. Why send unsealed and expired products to get tested? This is not science. In my opinion, it's more like fraudulent activity. His team claims there is contamination when tempering may be closer to the truth.
The only reason they found aspirin and no supplements is because you put it there to make it seem like that's where it came from. And that supplement company,
they're not taking this lying down. First, he tried to blame Gaia Supplements' brand of ashwagandha, and they covered their own ass. Now, the supplement company NutraBio has fired back at Ryan Garcia's team for claiming that their product contains aspirin. They say, no it doesn't. In my opinion, it seems more likely to be a case of tempering by somebody on Ryan Garcia's team.
there's got to be a reason you guys didn't follow the protocol and broke the chain of custody.
Been trying to blame everyone you can think of in your defense. Bill Haney, Devin Haney, Victor Conte, Vada, the Democrats,
The global elites.
lizard people, and the latest entity you have so implicated is NutraBio.
I don't expect them to take this lying down.
Now, in a very general sense, the supplement industry is poorly regulated. That bit of it is true, but you haven't proven that this was on the manufacturer's end because you broke the chain of custody. And where so many people want to ignore whatever Victor Conte says on the premise that he's the one responsible for this.
2 weeks ago, Ryan is telling you it's Victor Conte's fault. 2 weeks later, he's blaming a supplement company.
Which one is it? Or is it exactly how Victor says it is? You guys contaminated those supplements to bolster Ryan's credibility, the credibility of his story. Knowing that so many out there in the boxing community are ignorant to these provisions and protocols in this process, you prey on their stupidity.
Their ignorance.
And what you're hoping is that the New York State Athletic Commission is just as ignorant as they are, because what you're trying to do is get a reduced sentence.
4 months or less.
That's what Ryan's legal team is shooting for. My honest opinion, it's looking more and more like Ryan knew exactly what he was doing, and he took the aspirin deliberately, and now they're scrambling to cover it up.
And if Victor's being vocal about it, it's because you tried to implicate him.
You tried to blame this on him. You tried to blame this on Vada. That's why he's going after you. Now, I'm still an old cynic, and I don't expect Ryan's suspension, if there is one, to last for very long. But it looks to me like he cheated. It looks to me like you deliberately took the aspirin. You're just trying to hide it.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, got the call last night since Deontay got his ass knocked out. They asked me if I want to fight Jared Anderson instead. I says, hell motherfucking yeah. Send the paperwork. So, the battle of the big babies. The original one only Big Baby Miller versus the big Crybaby Anderson. I like that. The battle of the big babies. And loser loses the name. Oh, yeah. That sounds good to me. I think we need to make that happen. So they called me, and I accept the challenge. So Jared Anderson, all that shit you be talking, stop fighting cruiserweights and niggas on 5 minutes notice. I'll gladly spank your little ass.
Battle of the big babies. Big Baby Miller versus Jared, Big Baby Anderson. Jared, who said, this guy's broke and needs some money. I'm not interested in stopping a guy who just got stopped. I'll take Chang.
Yeah, fucking right, he'll take Chang.
Based on how he looked with Charles Martin, a southpaw, like Zhilei Zhang is a southpaw, and a statuesque one, bigger than your average Jared Anderson opponent. Just based on how he looked with Charles, I don't even know that I would like Jared's chances against Chang. The development of Jared Anderson has been curious, to say the least, because the way they've been matching him against opponents that are noticeably shorter than he is, that don't actually represent the upper echelon of heavyweights in today's heavyweight division. And as a result of that, Jared has developed some bad habits. Habits that he can get away with against more pocket-sized and modest-sized heavyweights, but not guys the size of a Zile Zhang.
Jarrell Miller claims to have been contacted in reference to a potential Jared Anderson fight, but to my knowledge, isn't he already on the books to face Andy Ruiz in August on the undercard of Crawford versus Madrimov?
It's the funniest thing. A few days ago, when news broke that Tim Tszyu would not be available to fight Virgil Ortiz on that same show, His Excellency took to his social media and stated, "Due to the circumstances of Riyadh season card in LA, we will be upgrading the fights. Stay close." He said upgrading the fights, not fight, not just the Virgil Ortiz fight and the search to find him a new dance partner, but other fights?
Plural.
So when Jarrell Big Gravy Miller says that he was contacted in reference to a potential Jared Anderson fight, is this what he's talking about? Are they thinking of swapping out Andy Ruiz for Jared Anderson instead?
Well, where would that leave Andy Ruiz if they do that?
I don't know, maybe they match him against Frankie Sanchez. Maybe they match him against the man who beat Frankie Sanchez, Agit Kabayel. I don't know. I mean, they can find someone for Andy to fight if that's what's going on. If they're thinking about swapping out Andy Ruiz for Jared Anderson. And I don't mind that fight, being honest with you. I don't mind either fight. Miller versus Ruiz or Miller versus Anderson is all right by me, given the speed at which His Excellency Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh orchestrates these big shows and these big fights, these big nights. It's entirely possible that they might be moving some names around.
How do you think Miller versus Anderson plays out?
Well, I want to say that Jared Anderson didn't exactly blow me away in his last fight with Riyad Merhi, a rather undersized heavyweight, stocky fellow. What's he, about 5'10" in today's heavyweight division? Not a very big heavyweight at all. And Jared Anderson was far too cautious, far too careful against an opponent who wasn't even really doing anything.
It'd be the exact opposite with Jarrell Miller. This is a bigger, much bigger guy than any guy you fought so far, and he's not going to hang back and play it safe, try to survive. He's going to bring the fight to you, try to overwhelm you.
Force you to fight. Jared Anderson's strengths are his speed, his mobility, his range of motion, and his athleticism. But he's not that big on power. He's not the most concussive heavyweight. Not the biggest either.
Could he hold Jarrell Miller back?
I know that Jarrell Miller, he's got his own drawbacks, his own limitations, that because of his size, because he's hovering at or around 300 pounds, he has limited range of motion, and that makes for limited leverage.
Can't really drive his punches the way some other heavyweights can.
Snap out those punches, he can't do that, but he's still bigger, a lot bigger than anybody Jared Anderson has fought so far, and because Jared Anderson is not that big a puncher, this makes for a very interesting situation. Yes, if they made this fight,
Yeah, I think that's a good fight.
don't forget that Daniel Dubois had to go through the gears to finally get Jarrell Miller off of him and get him out of there. He had to fuck him up.
I think Daniel's a lot stronger, punches harder than Jared Anderson, I do.
So this would be intriguing. I like it.
See if they don't make it happen.